Hi everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Today I've got a third project for you in my Spring and Easter series, and it's going to feature some new 2020 Hero Arts products. I hope you'll enjoy this one. To start this card, I've got a slightly larger than an A2 size cardstock panel that I've put in my Misty, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp it with Versamark ink, and this is going to allow me to put the white heat embossed powder that I'm going to use to create the background. This particular stamp is brand new. It comes from the Hero Arts Spring catalog. This is one of the bold prints stamps. They have many actual patterns for bold prints. It's kind of a line of its own. This one is aptly called Fresh Citrus Bold Print. And that is exactly what it is. It's a bunch of lemons that are whole and sliced and cut, and then there's some flowers and leaves in there as well. And then I'm going to use that as a background and another stamp set that coordinates with it to create the front of the card. Now, it took me a few times stamping this in order for me to feel comfortable that I got a really good coating of the Versamark ink there. And I feel it's ready to heat emboss at this point. Now, on the back of this I have a loop of painter's tape, and that allows me to hold on to it while I'm working with it. And that kind of helps me deal with not touching the edges of this card panel while I'm working with it and messing up those patterns on the edge. I am going to cut it down, but still I don't want to take off the Versamark ink or any of the embossing powder once I've got it applied. So here is the finished panel. It really is pretty, and I can take that tape off now and start working on the other card elements. So these are the stamps that I picked out from the set that I'm going to use for the front of the card. And I want to point out that I stamped that whole lemon, then just flipped the cardstock around in my Misty, and then I can go ahead and stamp the other one. The stamp set I'm using here is called Zest Wishes, and it coordinates wonderfully with the background stamp. Alright, so I'm going to start coloring my lemons. I colored one already, and I'm going to show you how I did this one. I start with E33, which is a brown, which may sound kind of weird, but that brown helps the golds and the yellows to stay bright and dark and not get so desaturated. So on top of that, and then spreading it out a little bit further, is Y38, which is an orange color. Then next I'm using Y35. And that's really simple too. I'm just doing the same thing, going over the top of the last color and bringing it out a little bit further. Then I'm going to go with Y15. Same thing. So this is a very easy image to color. Just I'm using a lot of colors here is all. Then next is Y32, and continuing that, bringing it out just yet a little bit further. And I'm finally going to finish with Y00. Now you could use fewer colors than this. I happen to have a good selection of yellows, so I wanted to go ahead and take advantage of that. I decided to go back and add a little more shading, so I used Y38 and Y35 just where the little dimples of the skin were and a little bit more on the edges. And then I typically do this, I'll go back and do the whole image again just to get the colors deeper and to blend it all better. And with the yellows again, because they do desaturate quite quickly, a second coat is really helpful for that. And I really liked how these turned out. Very simple to do. Okay, next I'm going to do the leaves. I've done a couple here, but I wanted to show you how simple this was as well. I used YG63 for my shadow, and then a bright YG06 to fill in the center because I wanted that bright citrus green color. So that's all there is to those. And you'll see here that I just repeat the process again just to get a double coat on there, but that'll do them, and a very simple leaf but really pretty. The next thing I'm going to move on to is the flower, and I believe what they're trying to represent here is a lemon blossom, which would be what comes before the lemon develops, right? So I looked that up to see what they look like, and they are white flowers with yellow stamens. So to give more of an illusion of white, I put in some grays. So I used C3 for a shadow and then C0 to blend out. And then I'm also going to use the colorless blender to further blend out the grays. And I just think it makes it look more white. It seems a little ironic since you're adding gray, but yet it does make you feel like there's some dimension, I guess. That's how your brain kind of reads it, and it just seems more white, at least to me. And then the colorless blender can be used to really lighten the lines of any of the grays that you've used there, and it just blends really pretty. Now I went back with Y38 to put in the stamens, and then I'll go over the top of that just to lighten it up and make it a little bit brighter with Y15. Very simple again, and I only am doing one of these little flowers, so very easy. And now that everything's colored up, I'm just going to grab my scissors and quickly fussy cut these out. One thing I do appreciate about this stamp set is that it's got quite thick outline of each of the images in this set. So when you fussy cut it, there's still plenty of black left over, and you can see those lines really well. So I like that. Now this is a piece of vellum that I'm going to put on the front of my card. It's approximately 4 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall. And I'm prepping this with my Versamark. It's going to say Zest Wishes, and what I will do here is heat emboss black powder on this sentiment. So I'll bring in my powder and apply that over the top of the sentiment, and then I'll go ahead and heat emboss that with my heat gun. At this point, I'm ready to put the card together, and what I've done is I have used a steel die to cut out an A2, well, it's really 4 by 5 1/4 inch sized cardstock with a die cut from Lawn Fawn. And then I put that panel on another piece of bright green cardstock, just a sliver of it on each side, so it's just 1/4 inch bigger than my panel was. And then I put that on top of a black card base. So I think the black card base and the Zest Wishes sentiment in black, plus the black of the branch, really tie everything together nicely. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue, which is the art glitter glue. This is a great glue, but it also has a great applicator with that steel point on it, so you can get a very fine line. I'm just going to put that down on top of my vellum at just a bit of an angle, and then I'm going to work with that to figure out where to put my lemons. And so I think I kind of about like that. And what I can do now at this point is apply them. So the first lemon's going to go right down on top of the vellum, and I'm a little bit easy using glue because the vellum will wrinkle if you use too much of it. Now the second lemon, I've put some double-sided foam tape on so that I can set that above the first lemon and give it some dimension there. Next are the leaves. The small ones I'm going to place at the top of the lemon bunch, and then the 2 other leaves that I did I'll put to kind of cover the stems up a little bit of the points of those lemons. And I'll just use the art glitter glue again to place those. Then I'm going to add my flower, or the lemon blossom. I have double-sided foam tape on the back of this too, but I decided to take it off of one of the blossom petals so that I could put that flush on top of the leaf of the the leaf that is already raised, because it's on top of the lemon that's raised, and then everything looks right. So I like the way that all looks, and then conveniently I've got a place to hide my glue so I can attach the vellum, and I'm going to put that on just slightly above center. And that completes my card, except that I decided to add 3 sequins, and you can see those here. There is so much you can do with this lemon theme set. I hope I've inspired you with some ideas of your own. I'll be back soon. Thanks for joining me. Keep the fun going and watch a few more videos. I have some things that you might be interested here on the right side of the video screen. Click on those to see some more, and please don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up before you go. Thank you, and have a great week.